Stars. Sorry, Janari. Sorry,
What's up, everybody? It's Alex Leak and Friends NFL Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. This is the 2019 Divisional Round episode, the Tennessee Titans at the Baltimore Ravens. We got Bret on the show. What's up, Bret? Thanks for coming back on.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, good. We always have good football conversation whenever you come on the show, so I like it when you're on.
Yeah, I try.
Man, hell of a game. Titans-Ravens, Saturday night, great football. This is like my prediction of the year, picking the Titans to win this game. And Derrick Henry was just a monster. But let's set this thing up. First of all, what were your impressions? Like, a shocker by the Titans to go into M&T Bank Stadium and take out a team that's on a 12-game winning streak, the MVP quarterback, and to really dominate the game. That was crazy television on Saturday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd have to say. Nobody was expecting the Titans to even be there, but they went into Gillette the week before and took out the Patriots. And,
yep.
So you kind of had to think that there was some hope there, but I wasn't expecting it to be a 12-point showing from the Ravens, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think this Titans defense is a little underrated. Like, they're solid, they just don't get talked about at all. And
No.
Dean Pease is a hell of a defensive coordinator going back to his days in New England.
Yeah, this Titans defense has stepped up and has come together at the right time. I mean, I know you would expect a team, not a 9-7 team, to really be fully there on either side of the ball, but if you get hot at the right time, that's all that matters, and that's exactly what they've done, not just defensively, but establishing the run game with Henry as well. Yeah,
Henry's such a monster, and we're all kind of, I think, surprised by how impressive Derrick Henry's been this year. But I mean, those that watch college football too, he was doing some of the similar stuff back at Bama. We just haven't seen it to this level in the NFL. But he's always been a monster. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of athletes or a lot of players that's kind of the same or the norm, where, they're really good in college or they're super explosive, their first or second year in the league, and you're expecting to see a lot of them. And sometimes, they don't get their chance, or, they had it and something may have gone wrong. But, we had expected Derrick Henry and a lot of other Alabama running backs to be at the top of their game here in the NFL, and it seems like he's broken out here as of late.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's going to talk about Derrick Henry, leading the NFL in rushing this last year and being the major reason why the Titans are so good. But Ryan Tannehill comes into this game 8-3 as a starting quarterback since replacing Marcus Mariota in Week 7. How much of a factor do you think Ryan Tannehill's play is in where the Titans are right now? Is he a big factor, or what do you think? Are you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think he has to be somewhat of a factor because he's out there, he's being their field general. He has to, lead the offense, and although they're not running it through him like the Ravens do with Jackson, or a lot of teams, run their offense through their quarterbacks. I don't think that he's as big of a factor, but I think him controlling the game and not turning the ball over is a big part of the key for the Titans.
Yeah, and I think he just fits that offensive identity better than Marcus Mariota. And I think Mariota would work better in a spread-out offense. And Tannehill works really well under the power, play-action type offense, safe throws, good stuff like that. All right. Derrick Henry, like I mentioned, leads the league in rushing going into this game, but they're going up against a Ravens team that's on a 12-game winning streak, 14-2, and led the NFL in team rushing yards. And we all know about how dynamic of a weapon Lamar Jackson is. Your prediction, did you pick the Ravens to win this? I mean, you had to be thinking Lamar was going to go off and show out on the big stage.
After what Tennessee did, to the Patriots, it kind of made me become a little more in between as far as what was going to happen.
Okay.
But I did still, I did favor the Ravens because, they, like you said, they were on a 12-game win streak. They had the top seed, home field advantage. It was, they were hot too coming into it. But I didn't expect, and Jackson balled out. He had 365 passing yards. He had 143 rushing yards. Only one touchdown compared to Tannehill's, was it like 88 passing yards and 13 rush yards. He had 3 touchdowns total. But the big difference was, something that, like you just said, pointed on, ball control, security, and leading your team on the field, and that's what Tannehill did because he didn't turn the ball over at all, and Jackson had 3 key turnovers, which is big, probably the biggest reason as to why Baltimore ended up ultimately going down.
Yeah, and that's why I was a little skeptic of picking the Ravens in this game because last year in the playoffs, I did pick the Ravens, and they screwed me over. Last year I had a horrible playoff picking record because I picked the Ravens to beat the Chargers in the playoffs, and I felt like they could get it done. And Lamar Jackson kind of turned the ball over a little too much, didn't play his best game against the Chargers, and I didn't know that it was going to happen today, but I had a feeling that it could. And so with certain players, they don't play quite as up to their potential, up to their max level when the pressure's on, when the lights are the brightest. So that's why I picked the Titans. I was riding with Derrick Henry, plus everyone knows I'm a big run-first guy, so I'm going to take the running back. But Lamar Jackson's a hell of an athlete, but it's the little things in this game. And on top of all the player performances, I believe that Mike Vrabel, the Titans head coach, thoroughly outcoached the Ravens' John Harbaugh. Would you agree with that?
I do. They had all the schemes set, and they had everything that they needed to win this game.
Yeah.
Maybe with a couple other things to happen, which fortunately did, but they were prepared. His team was more prepared. The Ravens had clinched home field like a week or two before the end of the season.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They clinched the divisional well before that, and they didn't have their top guys. Their starters. Their top 2 guys weren't playing as much in the last a month before this game.
And how many times have we seen that backfire? I mean, that used to get Peyton Manning's Colts all the time.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing when you have that happening all season long. You're playing up to your prime. You're playing at your core level of a team and whatnot, and then you clinch, and it's okay. Do we rest these guys? Which I understand the concept there because one big injury can ruin your whole season, or at least damper it for sure. But at the same time, like you just said, the Colts suffered from that back in the 2000s, and it's something that you have to kind of moderate and not like literally. But
there's a fine line there, yeah.
Right, and it ended up, costing them. We see the Ravens were putting points all over the board, running all over teams. Teams didn't know how to stop them. They have a lot of weapons, but when another thing that hurts is the fact that the Titans were fighting for a playoff spot the entire season. There was no mindset of, okay, we're in, all right, let's take a little breather here. Like, they were in the same zone week in and week out, and that carried into the playoffs, which is why they've now beaten the Patriots and the Ravens.
Absolutely. So let's dive into this game. Opening drive of the game for Baltimore. They're moving down the field, looking good. Lamar Jackson pass to tight end Mark Andrews goes off his hands and is intercepted by Titans safety Kevin Byard. #JustAFan. A little bit of a high throw by Lamar. Mark Andrews was open on the play, and it gets picked off. I mean, a little bit on Lamar, but I chalk this up to like shit just happens. Do you agree? Great play by Kevin Byard, though.
Yeah, every game, every sport is going to have, you have some things in it that are just, you have to chalk up to it wasn't you played worse that play or possession. It wasn't that your opponent played better. It was just, that ball's got to be caught, though.
Yeah, it does hit him in the hands.
You're in the NFL, you're getting paid millions of dollars, and you're in the playoffs. So, I get it. If there's justifications for certain for certain situations, but you just marched all the way down the field.
You want to get points.
Yeah, you can't leave points on the field like that, because then you get beat 28-12 at home as the 1 seed.
Absolutely.
And, it was a little high, like you said, but still, that ball's got to be caught.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Then Ryan Tannehill, Titans get the ball, and they finish their drive. A 12-yard touchdown pass to tight end Jonnu Smith, who makes an incredible one-handed catch in the end zone. When I saw it live, I was like, touchdown, and you definitely had to go look at it a few times, but outstanding catch by Jonnu Smith. Did you like that catch?
Yeah, it was a great catch. Those are plays that you're not expecting anybody to make, whether they're, some of the greatest athletes in the NFL or not. And those are the things that the Titans did right, whereas the Ravens did wrong. They started that drive on the 35-yard line because after the interception, Jackson just had a hot head, and, he committed a 15-yard penalty, which after the return to the 50 set up the Titans very nicely, and they took advantage, and it helped with that catch for sure. But
good point on the Jackson penalty. You already turned the ball over, and then you kind of compound the turnover with you tack 15 yards on by whether he was hot-headed or he just made a mistake. Either way, it kills to give up free yards like that.
Yeah, especially when you're, that's a 14-point swing there where or at least a 10, or, you could say 6 if it was field goals, but you were just on the verge, you ate up some clock, you moved down the field, the Titans defense is tired, you're right there, and boom, you turn the ball over, then you give them, 15% of the field on a penalty, and now they don't have to do very much, and you're setting your defense up for failure.
Yeah, a big pet peeve of mine is long drives that end in 0 points. I hate it, because not only are you shortening the game and taking a lot of time off the clock, but then you're getting nothing to show for it. It's such a momentum killer.
Absolutely.
And speaking of that, on the very next drive, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh decides to go for it on 4th and 1. Might not have been the very next drive, but on 4th and 1 from the Baltimore 45-yard line to start the second quarter, Lamar Jackson quarterback draw is stopped short, turnover on downs. Now I know that the Ravens were 8 for 8 on the season, going for it on 4th and 1, which is very impressive. I understand the confidence to go for it because of that stat, and it's worked for you all year long. I just think it's too early in the game. You're in your own territory. I would have punted it there. Not getting it, the Ravens' first 2 drives of the game are stopped on turnovers. What do you think? Do you agree with going for it there?
I agree with the fact that they were 8-8 and that they had the confidence that they were going to convert, because that's what you should have as a team, as a player, as a coach, or an organization. But again, none of those 8 were as impactful as that one.
Absolutely, great point.
Because, you got to know that yes, I get it. You were 8 for 8. You were successful. You want to make a statement here, but you guys put a lot of points on the board. And you got to know that on the other side that the Titans, aside from their run game, haven't been extremely efficient offensively.
Mm-hmm. You can get them to punt.
Right, and you can, even if, they weren't expected on paper to score anywhere near what what the Ravens were expected to score. So you've got to know that by possession, your points per possession are much higher than theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, it's not like I could see the Titans doing that, but the Ravens on that situation in their own side of the 50. That early, that was, what'd you say, like the second quarter?
Just starting the second, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like at that point, like a 7-0 game?
Yeah, still one score.
And, you do that after you march all the way down the field and let them come down and score. And the very first play right after that turnover was a 45-yard touchdown, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, they attacked them. I mean, call me old school, say what you want, but if I'm a head coach, I'm a big fan in trusting my defense, especially when I got all those weapons over there that the Ravens have,
Absolutely.
You got Earl Thomas, Marlon Humphrey, all those guys, I trust them to make plays, and so I'm not going to put them in a position where they're backed up, where they have to make a stop. A turnover on downs here, it's a sudden momentum shift, right? And on the very next play, sometimes you take a shot deep and it works, and it does. Ryan Tannehill, 45-yard touchdown pass to Khalif Raymond. You don't know him, I don't know him, but it's 14-0 Titans, and it's a huge momentum shift. And suddenly, by the Ravens not being able to pick up a 4th and 1, which they've done all season long, they can't get it, and boom, they're down 14-0. That's huge. That set the tone for the entire game right there.
I think it did, because the Ravens were not, not used to having the momentum shift drastically like that.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they were not used to playing from behind by any means. So that was a big thing. That Tannehill only had 88 yards, so that 45-yard pass was more than half of his yards.
That was his day right there.
Right, and you just gave that to him.
Yeah. Yeah, Tannehill's got 2 touchdown passes, and it's not even halftime. I mean, the Ravens' mistakes are making Tannehill look like Joe Montana out here.
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but they took advantage, and that's what you got to do at any level in any sport to win. When your opponent makes a mistake, you exploit it, and you 99 times out of 100, you're going to walk away with a W.
See, that's where I differ, and tell me what you think on this. So many people on analytics crew and these new head coaches, the Sean McVays, these guys, they're all like, attack, be aggressive, impose your will on the defense, like you be aggressive and take it to the defense, right? I'm much more on the side of don't make mistakes. Don't hurt yourselves. You know that rule in medicine, do no harm? That should be for offenses. Do no harm. Because as long as you keep it within a game and trust your defense, plays are going to be made. And I don't want to self-inflict mistakes on myself, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah, you got to, unforced errors are a huge problem. And it's more, it's used a lot more in tennis. As mistakes, and why players or teams there lose. When you have 30 mistakes that you made without your opponent being an influence, you're going to end up really fighting hard for a victory, or putting yourself in a position to where it's too late.
Yep.
And I agree. And it goes across in every sport. You don't see you see it more, like I was saying, in tennis being referred to, but there's a lot of things, stupid penalties,
mm-hmm.
that, like the unnecessary roughness. You just gave them 15 yards there. Now they're already in field goal range. They didn't even snap the ball yet.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. I agree with you. Yes, you want to be aggressive. And, like, with a team like the Ravens, and I would say, like the Chiefs, who have super high-powered offenses, who who can score at will. We'll get to the Chiefs on it a little later about that, but
Yeah.
I understand the mindset there, knowing that we know we can outscore them. It doesn't matter what we do defensively or they do, but at the same time, if they add up, and if it's back to back mistakes that you're committing to yourself, you're setting up your opponent.
Yeah, it's a quick way to get in a hole, and like you said, they haven't played from behind pretty much all year long. I just think that these the analytics crew and the new generation of coaches or whatever, they take possessions for granted, and I've never been one of those guys. I see possessions as gold. Possession is opportunity to score, and I want that. So
yeah, I agreed. Especially in football, where you only get 9, 10, maybe 11 possessions a game.
Yep.
It's you're typically scoring on 3 or 4 of those. The more you give up, the less odds you're going to have to putting points on the board.
Absolutely. The Ravens are able to get on the board. Justin Tucker drills a 49-yard field goal to cut it to 14-3. But, like we mentioned, the Titans players were just more ready to go and better coached coming into this game. John Harbaugh's crew, they looked not ready, and multiple receiver drops on this drive make it 3 points instead of a potential 7.
Yeah, and again, that's leaving points on the board, and for a team like the Ravens, typically, you wouldn't think it's as important, but for what they did in the first 15 minutes of the game, it was extremely important, and they weren't ready to go. They didn't look like they were the team that they had looked like that got the number 1 seed.
Absolutely, they look like a different team. You're right. Then to end the first half, Ravens rookie wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown makes an amazing 38-yard one-handed catch down to the Titans' 4-yard line with just 11 seconds in the first half. This was a great play by Lamar Jackson late, and amazing catch by Hollywood Brown, Antonio Brown's cousin, if you don't know. Great play, great catch, and that gives the team, another field goal, cuts it to a one-score game, 14-6 at halftime. Amazing play by Hollywood Brown here.
Yeah, they again, those are plays that you're not expecting most people at all to make.
Yeah.
And those are plays that make a difference. They were able to put some points on the board there, and
I'm always tell me what you think of this. I'm always a big fan in ending the most important possessions to me in the game are the end of the first half and the end of the game to get points late at the end of the half. If you can go into halftime on a score, it seems to give you momentum.
Yeah, and it definitely does, because now the defense and the entire team, your opponent, whoever gets scored on, goes into the locker room with the last thought of the fact that they just got 3 or 6 put up on them.
Yep.
And that's not, you'd much rather, because you're not in that mindset throughout the game and whatnot. Your mindset and your thought process of everything changes when you go into that locker room, because now it's not game mode. Physically, it's game mode. Okay, what changes do we make?
Yeah, adjustments. Yep.
And when you get scored on like that at the end of the half, now you not only have to be thinking about that, but now you got to see the coaching staff and see what the changes that they make and try to implement them while you're still thinking about that. And it's not as efficient to go in at halftime just being scored on, obviously, as it is to get a stop. And I think you're right. It's if you can march down, you can put points on the board. A lot of teams will kneel it out with 40 seconds left or run it, whatever. Possessions are important, and any way you can put points on the board it gives yourself a better chance, to come out with a W.
Absolutely, and the Ravens came out, opening drive of the second half, marched right down the field. They go all the way down to the Tennessee 17-yard line, but again are faced with 4th and inches. And instead of, if this is me, I'm absolutely taking the field goal here. I know it's 4th and inches. I know it's an 8-point game, or 14-6, the 8-point game. If I kick the field goal here, then it's 14-9. I know it sucks settling for 3 field goals, but it's the opening drive of the second half. It's points on the board, and it's a successful drive. Instead, another Lamar Jackson quarterback draw is stopped short, and another turnover on downs. With a kicker like Justin Tucker, that's an automatic 3 points. Instead, another turnover on downs, and another long drive where the Ravens come away with 0 points.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, if the first one at what was it?
Your own 45?
Yeah, if that one hadn't occurred, or if you had converted that one,
yeah,
you know, I see. Okay, yeah, let's go for it here, because you have that momentum and that mindset of, we've done it all year. We did it a quarter ago. We can do it now. But again, with the fact that you're a team who, you know, scores 6 points in half a possession.
Yep.
Now it's half the game, and that's all you have. You know, you got to start to realize that, hey, you know, we got to maybe do some things differently here if we're going to win this game, because this is not how we expected it to go. You think that they would learn, because, you know, the Titans got that stop and then scored, and then they got this stop here. The momentum changed, and it was a 80-yard drive for the Derrick Henry touchdown pass.
Yeah, and I can understand, like, you know, you went 8 for 8 all year long, and Harbaugh's like, we're going to stay aggressive. We are who we are. We're going to stay aggressive. We're going to stay attacking. But how about that coaching job by Dean Pease and Mike Vrabel to be like, we're going to come into Baltimore and want it more than you, and we're going to stop the thing that you've done successful all year long, the 4th and short.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just demoralizing to a team. You know, they go 68 yards in 5 minutes down the field, just like they did to start the game.
Yep.
And they, you know, again, they come away with no points. So yeah, that's something else to think about. You know, they went down that first possession, and then it went from looking like they were about to score to the Titans have the ball on the Ravens' 35-yard line all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you come away with nothing there after a turnover, and then there's a touchdown. You come away with, you get stopped early on, and then the very first play is a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now it's like, well, what do you expect here? You know, they've taken advantage of the fact that, one, yeah, they let you march down the field, but they ultimately got the job done when you could have put up, you know, 3 points at a 14-point swing. That's 20-point difference there, and, you know, you lose by 16, and that's the thing. I feel like, I wonder if Harbaugh and the offense, like the coordinators, just thought that there was, you know, that they were running out of options. Like, maybe that they felt that they had to do this because, you know, like you had said, that the Ravens weren't used to this. So
yeah,
was it panic? Like, you know, we got to get this so we can swing momentum back over. If we don't get it, you know, we've got them deep in their own territory. Or I'm not sure what the mindset was. Like again, you know, they were 8-8. Yeah, but it's you're 0 for 1 now at this point.
Yeah.
You know, at this point of the year. So
now 0 for 2.
Right, and now you're 0-1 in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think, personally, my opinion, I think it's a little bit of hard-headedness on the account of the Ravens and John Harbaugh. It's like, we're going to do what we do, and maybe they were taking the Titans a little lightly, which there's no excuse for, because they got a guy like Jarrell Casey stuffing the line. They got a very good line there in Tennessee, so...
Yeah, Casey had a couple sacks, I think, too.
Yeah, and rookie Jeffrey Simmons and these guys, they're big guys. And then, on the very next drive, so you go down there on the opening drive of the second half, long drive, down to the 17, no points to show for it. On the very next drive, the Titans take over. Derrick Henry accounts for 81 yards on the drive, including a 66-yard run that breaks the defense, goes all the way down to the red zone. And then, on top of that, Derrick Henry throws a 3-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Corey Davis. And just like that, the Titans have opened up a 21-6 lead in the second half in Baltimore on the Ravens. Derrick Henry just took over on this drive and was like, "We're gonna take over."
Yeah, he, he did his thing. He's showing why he is, the king this year is in the backfield. And, all the talk of, Lamar, running back, playing quarterback. Lamar's, the greatest thing running the ball offensively. Derrick Henry had other thoughts, and he has had other thoughts, and that was the big key to the Titans coming away with the victory. Was how are they going to keep the run game established and beat you down that way? And when you get a stop on your own 20-yard line, and then you just you said, you said it was 81 of the 88 yards that they went or whatever, or 80 yards that they went. The whole thing. He's beating you. He beat the Ravens on that possession by himself, especially.
He did
run, and then he threw the touchdown pass. Like that's just embarrassing and a little demoralizing as a Ravens fan, and just for the whole team, let alone.
Yeah, and I'm all about like carried over momentum. So like so say you kick a field goal there, you come off the field and your players are high-fiving if you're the Ravens, right? They're high-fiving like we scored at least. We had a good long drive, it was successful, we scored. You get stopped on 4th and short, they're coming off the field with their heads down, and the defense is coming on like, shit, we didn't score again, Now it's up to us, And I like it when you come off the field and it's a good, you're uplifted, you're happy. The Titans, on the other side, they force that 4th and short, they make the stop, the offense comes on the field like, let's fucking go, let's end this thing, and Derrick Henry goes on the field and scores. I think it's belief in yourselves and in your team is a big part of it, and the Titans just executed and believed the entire night.
Yeah, a big thing. Yeah, I agree with what you said there. Is carryover momentum. The offense feeds off the defense and vice versa, and especially in football, because in a lot of other sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, the same guys are playing offense and defense.
Yep.
So it's within themselves to do that. But when you see a group of 11 guys or up to 15, whatever, that's subbing in and out, do their job, and that they did their job. Now it's not, oh well, I messed up earlier and I can turn around. Now it's, I have to do my job. Let's go. Like you said, and they're celebrating that stop, which instead of, the Titans coming onto the field after giving up an 80-yard drive for a touchdown and points to the Ravens, now their offense is coming out there like, all right, cool. The difference of the score did not change. We got the ball back again. We've scored off of 2 turnovers that they've had, back-to-back possessions. Now, let's get it done here. And, you're right, that momentum stayed there, and Derrick Henry took a lot of that and just ran it down the Ravens' defense.
Yep. And I think, like what you said, how it's like 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. It's not the same guys. That's when I think coaching becomes even more important, because there's phases of the game that the offensive players can't impact. And the same goes for the defensive guys. So the coach needs to put each unit in the best position possible that he can. And I think that oftentimes in today's league they're not doing that. They're being too aggressive one way or the other, putting the other unit in a bad spot that they're not responsible for.
Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely.
So then next drive, so it's 21-6, momentum all on Tennessee. Ravens, first play of the scrimmage, Ravens have to be thinking, let's go. Let's get this high-powered offense going. Let's score some points. Lamar Jackson, his first play, is strip-sacked by defensive tackle Jarrell Casey, fumble recovery by rookie defensive end Jeffrey Simmons, and it's the Titans' ball on the Ravens' 20-yard line. Another Ravens turnover, and at this point, it's just piling on.
Yeah, that momentum really was swinging, and I don't know who's to put. I think is that the one where he stepped up in the pocket and had like 2 fakes?
Yep, he could have gotten rid of the ball a little sooner, but to his credit, that was a blindside hit.
It was, but he knew that the pocket was collapsing.
Yes.
And he stood in there, which, you have to as a quarterback. You're going to take some hits. but you got to know that you have now at this point, you have most likely if your line can't get back into that block that just broke through, you have less than 2 seconds to get rid of that ball. You can't, those pump fakes got to be throw it away, or you got to use your feet there. He has all season. Use your feet, step up in the pocket, find a gap. Even if you can't run for it, get out of the tackle box and throw the ball away. That's just
that time clock needs to be sharp, especially in these big moments in the playoffs. Got to be at your best.
That's something that, again, goes back to the momentum and the mindset is, oh, shit, he hasn't been in that position, so you can't simulate things like that. And I don't care, if you're the smartest person academically or you're the smartest athlete IQ-wise, you can't simulate situations like that. And unfortunately, it didn't work out very well for the Ravens because they seem to have fallen apart well before that, and that point right there just clearly showed it.
Yeah, sometimes in big moments with the bright lights and the pressure's on, you see these quarterbacks maybe thinking a little bit more than usual instead of being instinctive. And I think that's what we've seen out of Lamar in 2 playoff games in his career in the NFL. Thinking a little bit too much, making some uncharacteristic mistakes. He's got to overcome that if he's going to start winning these games when it matters most.
Absolutely, I agree. And he'll get there. He's young.
Yeah. He's a hell of an athlete. He'll overcome it. It's just it comes with experience.
Right, and he'll, these are the situations and the simulations, if you want to quote, that will be, remembered for the next time throughout the years.
Yep.
And he'll, hopefully he doesn't have to do it 8 times before he learns.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't matter. Like, Brady, Breeze, whoever you want to say, the same things have happened. We're all human.
Yep. It's trial by fire. Everyone learns on the fly. Sorry, we lost you for a second there, but alright, so let's get back into this. So the Titans are up 21-6, that strip sack by Jarrell Casey, and they take over. Then the Titans go down the field. Ryan Tannehill fakes a pitch out to Derrick Henry, and instead, Derrick Henry's had such a monster game, all the defenses bite on the fake pitch, and Ryan Tannehill runs in for a 1-yard touchdown, and it's 28-6 Titans. Late third quarter, the home crowd is stunned in Baltimore. What were you thinking seeing that score 28-6 there late in the third?
I was thinking that if I hadn't seen the game, that whoever was typing it in on ESPN made an error. Because that was, again, nearing the end of the third, even nearing the end of the first, I'm not expecting to see Baltimore with 6 points, especially. I thought it was a touchdown. You could have thought it was a touchdown on missed PAT, but 2 field goals, and
yeah,
the Titans with 28. That wasn't. I'm sorry, I just wasn't expecting that either. And I thought, okay, well, the Ravens have been very magical all season long. Are they going to do something crazy here in the fourth quarter and make history? And the answer to that was no.
Yeah. How about this? I mean, we're so shocked by the Ravens scoring so little. For this Titans team that went into Foxborough, they went into Gillette Stadium and held the GOAT, Tom Brady, to 13 points. I know that offense hasn't been the same this year, but still. Then you go into Baltimore and you take down a record-breaking Ravens offense, the league MVP, the first team in NFL history to average 200 rushing yards, and you hold them to 12 points on the game. That defense has to be taken seriously.
Absolutely, yeah, and that goes back to the fact that they stayed in the same mindset as a team. At the end of the season, knowing that it was a must-win or go-home mentality.
Yep, they carried that over, I think.
Yeah, and again, like you said, the momentum of the opposite side. Knowing that Henry and that offense is going and going and going, that helps feed the defense. And when they're taking long drives, running the ball and eating clock and pounding the opponent's defense, it allows the Titans defense to then be sitting on the sideline and they're not tired, they're not down. They know that their offense is going to run a lot of clock and come out points.
Uh-huh.
So the defense has stepped up, and they've become hot at the right time. You've taken out, like you said, the GOAT. You took out the top off, one of the top offenses in the league, record breaking, back-to-back weeks on the road. That's got to be something good, going into Kansas City next week.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, all right, so they're down 28-6. Still some time left in the game, but it's not looking good. The Ravens drive down the field once again, get into field goal range, but then Lamar Jackson throws his second interception of the game, this time to Titans safety Kenny Vaccaro. Jackson's third turnover of the game, and that's pretty much going to ice it. After that, Lamar Jackson would throw a 15-yard touchdown pass to tight end Hayden Hurst. The 2-point conversion pass attempt is no good. I'm not a huge fan of going for 2 there, but you're down, it's late, you're doing whatever you can. So 28-12. And the Titans defense closes the door, slams it shut, in fact, with forcing 2 more late turnover on downs. And the Titans go into M&T Bank Stadium, beat the Ravens 28-12. Unreal. Great performance by the Titans. And, as an outsider, I know you've been impressed with Lamar Jackson's performance all year long. And it's gotten, praise as the greatest quarterback, reinventing the game. Michael Vick said he's better than him. What's your thoughts? Does this game impact the way you think of Lamar Jackson at all?
It doesn't, because even though, they lost the game, the Jackson, he had 500 yards, from scrimmage as a quarterback, but aside from, doing all that, he threw the ball 59 times, but he turned the ball over 3 times, and Tannehill turned it over 0.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those are the big things that have to be changed, because those couple of those turnovers, they all led to points. And, 3 touchdowns of the Titans, 4, they got 3 scores, 3 touchdowns at that. 21 of their 28 points after, you turn the ball over 3 times. So those 365 yards passing and 143 yards rushing really, don't mean much at that point. But if he can continue to do that throughout his career, and he can limit the turnovers, he's going to set Baltimore, up for a long time to be successful. And I think, like you said, it's a new age, a new era style quarterback, and it's going to be hard to figure out how to stop that, especially with the other weapons that he has. But, if he plays at the level that he has without the turnovers,
Mm-hmm.
then I see the Ravens being in this spot or in this position year in and year out, for quite some time, as long as his health stays the same.
Yeah, absolutely. There's people jumping off the Lamar Jackson bandwagon already, or saying, oh, see, this is why you shouldn't draft him. I disagree with all of that. Look, as long as you've struggled in 2 playoff games. It's growing pains. You're a young quarterback still. As long as you continue to put up these kind of performances in the regular season, you'll get more opportunities in the playoffs. And so, sure, you're 0-2, you wanted to do better, you wanted to contend for a Super Bowl this year, but you've still got a young franchise quarterback, and you can build around him. And, he's going to win league MVP this year, so run it back. And you've got plenty of years, like you said, health, as long as he stays healthy, he's got a very bright future. So no need to jump off the bandwagon through, his second year.
Right, yeah, and absolutely, yeah. You can't expect. It's like the Browns. They're expecting their quarterbacks, these rookie guys, to go in there week 5 and do something, and then boom, they don't win a game. So let's get rid of them.
Yeah, that's stuff losing organizations do.
Exactly, and if you want to, come on, Baltimore, they're in your division. You know how it's been going for them.
Yeah.
A lot of teams would be very happy to have Jackson. And again, it does fit into a scheme, but the Ravens have all of their offense. I think I saw some like all of their offense and 7 or 8 of their defense of starters all under contract for the next couple of years. They're all locked in.
Nice.
They have $50 million in cap space, or 30 some. They have a lot of money in cap space this year, and they also have 8 picks in the draft. So they're gonna be just fine. I think they're young, like you said. They got to get those airs out of there of going from being prolific in the other levels, and now there's some things that you have to do differently in the NFL in order to be successful. But he's young, 0-2. He's gonna, if he continues to be the MVP that he was this year, and can control the ball and not turn it over, I don't see the Ravens going anywhere. Downward at least for a long time.
Absolutely. Derrick Henry for the Titans is the story of this game. Combines for 205 yards and a passing touchdown, and he's the first player in NFL history to go for 180 rushing yards in consecutive playoff games. So, let's take a look back at this Titans team, a step back and look at this team. Titans going into Arrowhead this weekend in the AFC Championship Game. The defense is playing well. Derrick Henry is lights out. To me, in my opinion, someone's got to prove that they can stop Derrick Henry to stop these Titans. What do you think? What do you see from this Titans team going forward, going into this weekend?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, the momentum is going to still be there, that like it has been for the last several weeks for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care that they're going and playing, the 2-seed Chiefs?
Yep, in Arrowhead.
Right, like they just played, the Super Bowl champs from last year.
Yep.
And then, just beat the historic offense and a historic Ravens team, both on the road. So, I expect if the Chiefs cannot figure out how to stop Henry, like you said, I expect it to be a long day for them defensively. And if that, if it shows like anything that it has the last couple of weeks here, that's going to carry over into your offense. And the Chiefs, last week, up until the end, or up until like the second half, just didn't have it. So if that's the case and the Titans don't blow it, like the Texans did, then I think it's going to be tough for Kansas City to win that game if they don't stop Henry, just because of all the other things that it does for the shift of the game.
Yeah, my thoughts on that game, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be a big game. Arrowhead's going to be going crazy. Patrick Mahomes is unlike anything I've ever seen so far. I mean, he's got that look of MVP Aaron Rodgers a little bit. Dude can make any throw. Lamar Jackson, we're talking about him being 0-2 in the playoffs and kind of like being caught up in the bright lights, the big moment. Whatever those are, Patrick Mahomes feels none of it. Because that dude, every single big playoff game, he balls out. He nearly took him to the Super Bowl last year. Only Tom Brady could beat him. He put up 51 on the Texans last week. Down 24-0, came storming back in a quarter. The dude's incredible. I think it's going to be a shootout. I really do. I do believe that this Titans defense is much better than the Texans, and that's going to be key. But I think you're talking about a 30-something to 30-something game, and whoever can, make a stop, a timely stop, a big defensive play is going to win the game, I think, because it's going to be a battle. I know Tannehill's not elite, but good luck, Chiefs defense, of stopping Derrick Henry, and good luck, Titans. I love the Titans secondary and that defense, but good luck stopping Patrick Mahomes. No one's shown that they can beat Patrick Mahomes of late, so.
Right, yeah, that's going to be the key thing. If this, they've given up now, 25 points in the last 2 games to the Patriots and Ravens.
Yeah.
I don't see them giving up, averaging 12.5 points there, but I see them giving up at least, like you said, in the 30s. But if the Titans can take advantage of any mistakes or any unforced errors that the Chiefs allow them to, and they continue playing their game, running the ball, taking time off the clock, making the opponent's defense wearing them down, it's going to do the same thing in the heads of the Chiefs offense, and it's going to give the Titans a chance. I'm excited to see what happens in this game. I think if it's going to be a blowout, it's going to be the Chiefs over the Titans, but I don't think that's going to happen. It'll be close, and it might be a 1 or 2 play difference in what changes the outcome of the game.
Yeah, it's the matchup in my mind is Patrick Mahomes against the Titans secondary. And speaking of Titans secondary, safety Kevin Byard, my favorite Titan defender, with the interception in this game against the Ravens, that's his 18th since 2017, which is the most in the NFL in that span. So,
wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be him, Logan Ryan, Kenny Vaccaro, those guys, Adoree Jackson. It's going to be those guys against Mahomes, and it's going to be a battle. And I need, Rashaan Evans, Jayon Brown to step up, Jarrell Casey, Jeffrey Simmons. All those guys have to be on their game to be competitive in that Chiefs game. And so we'll see. There's nothing in my mind. I've been Mahomes is so good at such a young age, but there is literally nothing in my mind that tells me that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to put up 30 points in that game.
I don't see why not. They're tough to stop, and Mahomes, now has that mindset and mentality that the team that beat him last year isn't there. So
yeah, now's the time.
Yeah, and they're at home. Now's the opportunity. They could have been going into Baltimore this week, but they got a little gift from the football gods, so it's time to. I think Mahomes is at that step or level where Jackson's trying to get to, and now it's Mahomes' turn to show that.
Yep.
And in the next year or so, it'll be Jackson's.
Yeah, and that gift could turn into a lump of coal if that train Derrick Henry gets going downhill. So
Totally right.
We'll see what happens, but can't wait. Thanks for coming on the show, Bret. Good stuff as always. Fun talking about this Titans-Ravens game.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we'll talk some more football here in a few. Thanks for coming on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Guys, appreciate the support, and have a great week, guys. Peace out.